Lauren. How are you?
I'm doing great tonight. How are you guys doing?
Well, we're doing absolutely great, absolutely wonderful, because we have someone that has actually driven through Delphi before, right?
Many, many, many times. Yes, that's correct.
And, you know, we're just these guys like 10 hours south of you guys, so we're just wanting to learn more, you know, and you offer, you know, like I said, it's very exciting, but most people that are following this case would love to have someone that's driven down that Hoosier Highway. You've driven down that highway before, right?
Yes, I used to work at Indiana Packers. I live in Lafayette, so that's the road that I would take to and from work every day for about 3 years. So, yes.
Now Lafayette, you know, I'm an older guy, and I love Shannon Hoon that was supposedly buried there in Lafayette. Am I correct with that?
Yes, he is.
So tell us about Lafayette. Not Lafayette. Don't go there. But tell us about Delphi. Just give us a thumbnail vision of what you see. How would you describe that town?
I would honestly just say that it's very small, quiet. I mean, they are building up a little as far as I think they actually have a Pizza Hut now, so that's pretty exciting for them, I think. But it's just, yeah. So it's just a really small, you know, I would say a tight-knit community that everybody pretty much knows everybody, and that's just what, you know, makes all of this just so crazy to me, is that how could this not be solved?
That's exactly what we've been thinking, because, like, you know, having children in an age group living in a town approximately that size, we're a little bit bigger, but yeah, that's wild that, like, you know, typically whenever you have some kind of a case like that, any kind of a murder, anything like that, it gets real quick, and like, you know, these are real girls. You know, we see pictures of those girls, and, you know, I don't want to ever eclipse that, because, you know, I see those two little girls there. I have children that age, and, like, you know, I see that and I go, why is this case not solved? What do you think?
Man, I don't know. There's just so much going on behind the scenes that we can't possibly understand or even grasp at this point. And I think that due to all of the secrecy and the length of time that has gone on with this unsolved is why there's just such a huge buzz about this case, and it's so intriguing, and so many people are digging into it, because it just seems like you turn over one stone, and underneath that stone is another stone to turn over, and another and another and another. And to think that something nefarious, like, you know, the Klein stuff and all that could be connected to Delphi, Indiana, somehow, it's just unfathomable. It's crazy.
So, have you ever been on this Monon High Bridge or no?
I have not been to the Monon High Bridge, but I have seen Freedom Bridge, and we've gone to the Erie Canal Park. We used to take our dog there to walk, and it's an idyllic town, if I could describe it, except for now it's under this dark shadow of this terrible crime that's happened, and I think the people just want answers and they want to put it behind them. But really, most of all, like, the family will never be able to put it behind them, but they do need closure, and that's why, I don't know, this needs to be brought to justice.
Yes, that's huge. I mean, I was sitting there, you know, thinking about from a parent perspective, and really, I mean, that's hard to even conceive. You know, like, I know that I lost my child in the closet one time for like a couple of hours while he was sleeping, and I like to have stroked out. So I can't imagine having to deal with these folks have had to deal with. You know, I watched a recent interview with the grandmother of Libby, and she was talking about how she knew it was real whenever she saw the coroner go by, and I can't even comprehend that. But anyway, so what is it like in that area within like 50 miles around? What is the talk about this case? I mean, does it seem solvable? What is the general reflection that you get off the ground there?
Well, I really feel like it's almost polarized into two separate sides. You've got the side that's maybe three sides. You've got one side that doesn't even think about it or talk about it. As a matter of fact, at work the other day, I had somebody come in who was from Delphi, and another technician was helping them. And I overheard the conversation, and she's like, so do you know anything about the Abby and Libby case? And, of course, my ears perked up, but nobody knows that I'm really, into this case. And so I'm just listening, and the lady was like, well, it's been 5 years, so I don't really think about it anymore. And I'm just thinking, it's been 5 years, and I'm just now getting into it, because it's how can you live knowing that something like that just goes unsolved? So you have the side who's not even concerned, and then you have a side that is just hell-bent on saying that law enforcement's hiding something or there's some big cover-up. And I feel like you can find anything if you look hard enough for it. So if you're looking for a cover-up, you can find one. And then you have the side that thinks that law enforcement's just awesome and doing everything they should, and Carroll County's perfect. So I'm not really sure where I fall in that polarized taking sides thing, but I do feel that there's validity to a lot of what's being said. But then at the same time, I have to be self-aware that I don't know shit. Excuse me.
Well,
Laura, let me ask you. I mean, my name's Donald, by the way. I've been trying to listen and trying to find, a salient point that I feel I can ask something on. But all right, so you were talking about the three groups, and so you've got some that are it's been long enough, and so they're not really invested. You got some that want it, and there's some that think, well, they've just done their best job. Now, how about any kind of insider things? Since you're close to the area, there's got to be rumors or something that lends maybe more credits to maybe one of those three parties in the area that's not, and I'm not asking you to speak rumor, but, just some of the things that each one of these parties may say, well, this is why we think we're right about this. Is there anything like that you could give to an outsider? Because, again, we're way away. We live in the same type of communities. Small, rural, those type things. So we kind of wonder why it ain't solved as well. But is there anything that lends more credits to any of them than the others?
Well, I think one thing that would stand out to me in response to that question would be, I think that the idea of corruption definitely is a big topic right now, and in this local area. And I would have to say that a lot of the stuff that's being thrown out as rumor, or has been thrown out as rumor, for a long time now, is coming to light that it's not just rumor. You've got these child pornography rings being uncovered, and all of these huge arrests going on, not only in Indiana, but nationwide. And I think that Doug Carter, he's seen by them as an outsider. And I've watched a lot of the county commissioners' meetings and stuff like that they post on YouTube. And it just seems like there's a real attitude of we don't want any new, fresh eyes to come in. We don't want people digging around here. This is, we've got this. Don't worry about it. And then the state police, I feel like they're trying to really do everything they can, but it doesn't seem like they're wanted there. For the media, with the face that Carroll County residents put on for the media, and even Doug Carter is like, oh, this community is so welcoming and everything. But I feel like behind closed doors, once the camera's off, they change their tune a little bit on that. I don't think they want another agency to get the glory for it, and I think they're getting a lot of funding and attention because of this case. And I'm not implying that they're milking it or anything like that, but I do think it's been, I don't know, not a good thing for them, but it's been a way,
No, it does, and I've kind of made the observation in a couple of the previous things of, when they made a big deal about this on a 5-year anniversary during an election year, some of the releases and stuff, they seem almost media driven or publicity PR type driven. And it led me to, like the release of the tape, the thing that I think the other side, the murder sheets released. In my observation, well, this was really not telling anybody anything. It's all just kind of vague innuendo, and so that kind of led to is there more of the? Go ahead.
Well, it kind of surprised me too about the CSAM stuff, because we've heard so much of it in popular culture for the past 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And it, just from listening to Doug Carter, the superintendent for ISP, it sounds like it's been bigger than what I thought it was. I thought it was just conspiracy theories with QAnon and all this election stuff. But speaking of election stuff.
Right, but I'm not in.
I know that, but look here, in that election stuff, there's a new sheriff probably going to be elected in the next few months. I think the Republican Party just chose someone, and maybe there may be another runoff for the other side. But what is that? Do you think that had any change?
I do. I feel like if there's never let a crisis go to waste, and they did really amp up the coverage for it right before the election. And there's really, I think, something going on there because, you've got the lawsuit going on. If you're not familiar with it, a group of individuals, they're suing the Carroll County.
Not familiar. Speak about it.
And so they're saying that there was some shady stuff going on, that state funds were being used to pay for advertisements for one of the candidates, Tony Liggett, who actually ended up winning. And since he won the primaries, he's the de facto sheriff because there was no Democrat running. So Major Mike Thomas, who he's been the major there in the sheriff's department for quite some time, he lost the primary election to Tony Liggett, and shortly thereafter, within a matter of a few days, Tobe Lesenby demoted him to just regular sheriff's deputy with no change in pay, which I thought was weird.
Wow.
And promoted Tony Liggett to the position. And I do feel like it was almost retaliatory because of this lawsuit that had been filed questioning the ethics of the advertising practices, because the Flora Volunteer Fire Department and the advertising material, it stated on it that the Flora Volunteer Fire Department and Tobe Lesenby were endorsing this candidate, and that's illegal. So it's very fishy.
Now, Flora is also in big news. I see from a lot of YouTubers in the Delphi vertical. They're talking about Flora as well. I mean, you know anything about that incident, or?
I do know quite a bit about that. I have a family member who is a relative to the girls that passed away, their mother. So it's. I don't think that it's gotten the publicity, but I also don't feel that it's related to the Delphi murders as far as being the same perpetrators or anything like that. I feel like there's a lot behind the scenes there that people aren't aware of. And but I do feel as though it was kind of swept under the rug, which is corrupt in itself to do that. So.
Well, yeah, and of course, like from an outsider, and I don't want to criticize police because I have friends that are police, that are involved in law enforcement at various levels. But I know also that not everybody's perfect, and there's that 80-20 rule. And you always hear stories of, people that are involved with their own existence and don't pay as much attention. And then as an outsider, we hear stories about these dogs that were brought over to the scene and they did, and preconceptions and all this stuff that just, it's like as an outsider, I'm like, let's don't use this as a way to point fingers at anybody, but let's use this as a way to look at the future from any law enforcement perspective when people are missing. And we have missing people in our county as well. So I'm not trying to, we've got multiple missing people, but is there any discussion on how to, if there is missing people, or is things handled differently? Do you see there's any change going on from anything, Lauren, or what do you think from that perspective?
Again, I have to say that I do feel like there are people. There is a group of people in leadership in Carroll County that they do recognize that their resources were not up to par, and that their training maybe hadn't been, very effective, or even really paid much attention to. And I feel like they're trying to now implement policies to do that, but you have I don't want to say old people, but the people who have been in the council for a long time residents, they look at people trying to change things with a hostile eye. They see it as almost like an affront to their abilities. And one of my things that I wanted to follow up with what you just said was that I agree that I don't necessarily think that anything that's been covered up or appears to have been covered up was done so for some, malicious reason, other than I think these were situations, both the fire and the murders, that they weren't prepared for. They'd never seen before, and they never thought they would have to deal with. Right. But being able to admit, hey, I don't know what I'm doing here, and I need help, and then welcoming that help, and being able to take directive and advice, I think maybe that's where the shortcomings of the Carroll County Sheriff's Department and other in law enforcement agencies, the fire investigators, that type of thing. It's just being resistant to change and not being willing to listen to those who have more experience. Everybody wants to act like they know everything and I got this, but they don't.
Well, I understand that. Yeah, it's easy to not take. No, Donald, I'm sorry, you were speaking. I'm sorry.
Well, kind of go back to trying to finish the question I started asking whenever she was talking about, the third parties coming in. And the thing about the rural areas tend to feel like they're on their own, the county type folks. And there tends to be in rural areas, especially in those type things, more of a good old boy attitude in almost all cases, because everybody knows everybody, and so I guess my thing was and again, going back to local knowledge versus what we read, has there been any indication of those, is it been, did they make mistakes? Was there some good old boy stuff? Is that the only things going on? Was that, the state police? And you've answered most of those in y'all's discussion. So, but I guess that was the question is, do you think there was some good old boy, or have you heard any local stuff about maybe good old boy mistakes? Not on, like you say, a malicious intent, just an accident, and maybe just afraid to own up to it. Could that be a reason maybe why it's taking so long?
Definitely, yes. And you were able to phrase that better than I could. But the Good Old Boys Club, absolutely. And really, as far as what they're doing, we have no idea as the public. Locally, I don't live in Delphi, but I have a lot of family that lives there. I'm there quite a bit. I follow it. I take the Carroll County Comment newspaper. And like you said, you can't believe everything that you read, or that's what you're alluding to, I think. But it's even if you read the newspaper, it's so biased, the writing. I wish that I could had the time to go through specific examples, but you could tell it doesn't seem like there's a lot of neutrality there. So if you disagree with them, or have the nerve to disagree with them or question what they're doing, it's automatically as though their defenses come up and it's like a brick wall. Locally,
so we seem. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. It's fine.
Well, I guess what I was just trying to summate. I mean, we are getting close to a limit. Maybe some of it is we seem to see maybe a little more of the travelism, like you were talking about. You got the ones that the yay, the nays, and then the neutrals. And maybe we need either more neutrals to promote it, or just anyway. Does that meet kind of what you're trying to say?
Yeah. But I think that also the public, as far as everyone's opinion who is following this case, I would recommend that if they are local or they're close enough, come to the council meetings. They say everyone's welcome. And as a matter of fact, I was looking at their calendar to see when I might be able to go and sit in and actually be able to ask about that, because you saw them in the debate. If anyone watched those, they have their debates for the sheriff election, and I watched those, and I mean, Mike Thomas was my pick, and I'm not trying to promote anyone politically, because that makes no sense or no difference to me. I can't vote in Carroll County. It really has no bearing on me. But he wanted to take a fresh look at this case and bring people in, and it seemed like Tony Liggett was very resistant to that. He said, "I don't think that we need fresh eyes. We've had a second pair of eyes. We've had people come in," and it just seemed as though he kind of wanted to dismiss that as something that would help. And I just think that that's so close-minded, because, I mean, obviously what they're doing is not bringing the killer to justice right now, so why not have someone else try?
Let's just spend a little bit. I know we're getting close to the time, but I want to, use 20 minutes or so. But I'd like to have you again, because I think there's many conversations we could have. Like tonight, I've learned it's kind of like whenever in my daily job, it's like I go out and visit with companies and spend time with people out on the floor, just learn about the culture of the organization, how it flows, and just what's going on. I think that's how you really learn about something, as opposed to just pure speculation, at least some intermediary. But now with Bridge Guy, I mean that's a video. We supposedly have audio. That's just so weird. I mean, are people just not like? I mean, I'm sure there's just speculation out the wazoo, but I mean, is it rampant? I mean, do people like, yeah, I know exactly who that is? I mean, or is it just what's going on with that? I mean, it's a small area. You would think that if he was local, people would know who this guy is.
Well, I would go back to, I think it was the April 19th conference where they brought out the second sketch. And if you watch that, you can see when they're describing him, and then when they unveil the new picture, there's two ladies in the audience, or the audience, I guess, and they look at each other with just this knowing look. And if you're paying attention and you see it, I'm not trying to call them out specifically, but you can see that there's at least two people that had a pretty good idea, and with pretty good certainty, like that was somebody that they knew. And I think that there's been so many persons of interest brought in throughout this whole thing that it's turned into a wild mess of everyone accusing everyone. But I do feel like in Delphi, behind closed doors, people know who he is, and they know his name, and you can't dispute certain things that have happened, like people moving out of town, or people resigning from their public positions directly after all of this. And I do think that, like I said, the secrecy behind all of it is what's fueling the rumor mill. And I'm not saying that they should release more information. I do think that the reason they're not releasing information is because they need to keep what they have protected. And I think that the one piece of the puzzle that they keep talking about, somebody has alibied somebody, okay?
Yes.
And it's a false alibi. And they're appealing to the person who gave Bridge Guy his alibi, okay? I think that there was stuff with the picture or the video that has been purposely made to obscure someone's face because they're not appealing to the public, in my opinion. They're appealing to that one person who knows exactly who it is, because me saying I recognize the guy in a video is not enough to convict him. I do applaud the police for not just wanting to pick up the first person they could pin the case on to close it. So I will definitely say that they want the conviction to stick. And that's a lot of what people say, is that they're taking their time. They want it, the conviction.
I got one more question for you. I want to know, just based on what you may can provide in terms of the local area. I mean, it seems like this CSAM stuff has been a huge attack there. As even the law enforcement stated, it was huge for the state of Indiana. Would you suspected that all of that was going on?
Absolutely not. I mean, I'm not stupid, and I know that, you know, there's stuff that goes on everywhere that none of us could possibly imagine. But the things that are coming out as a result of this investigation, I mean, it may be taking a long time, but let's look at what they're netting from it. And that, I feel like, is the good that Abby and Libby can do for us right now. They're bringing this case is bringing a lot of these terrible monsters off the streets and getting them exposed and put right where they belong. So, you know, if there's a silver lining, I guess that could be it.
Hey, Donald, do you have anything before you close out from this event?
No, I mean, hey, it's been great talking to you, Lauren. I hope we can get you back on.
Yeah.
For sure.
Good to talk to you guys, too.
Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. We
You're
appreciate
welcome.
you voluminously. Thank you, lady.
Y'all have a great night.
Bye-bye. All right, you too. Thank you.